What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. We've got a guest in the studio, Amir. How you doing, my brother?
I'm very well. I'm excited. We've got a couple of weekends away till Boxing Day, and the mighty Tottenham are going to be back, so I can't wait. I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah, Tottenham are back, and you know what else is going to be back, and that is the January transfer window. We've got a few rumours to get through today, and first starting with Alexis McAllister of Brighton, and a report out in Argentina is saying that Tottenham are one of the 4 clubs interested in signing Brighton midfielder Alexis McAllister. What are we thinking, Sim?
I like Alexis McAllister. I think he's doing really well for Brighton this season. You've seen him really step up in that creative role, actually getting more goals as well for Brighton this season. He's gone to the World Cup. He didn't start the first game or two, but then he's really broken into the team and really impressed me. He's actually a player that now, one of the main players they rely on in that central midfield. I feel like they weren't really sure of their central midfield going into this World Cup. They've changed it a few times. They've settled on him because he's become one of the hubs of the team, one of the main players in there creatively. He got a big goal, I think it was against Poland in one of the group stage games, which was a big goal in the context of that game and in terms of then qualifying. So I think he's starting to show he's a very good central midfield player and a very good creative one. And I think he would fit into Conte's system actually pretty well. So I quite like him, but I do think he can be a bit limited, and I think there are maybe better options we could get, but I think he's a good player.
How old is he?
24, 23?
24. I mean, at that age, 23, 24, still a bit mouldable, and if he's limited, I'm sure Antonio Conte can maybe take him a step further. But Amir, what are you thinking about McAllister?
Look, I think he's a very talented young player. Whether he's the right fit for us at this moment in time, I'm not 100% sure. I think we should be looking at other areas of our team to strengthen really before we start looking at that midfield, unless there's someone really special that can come in there and do something. And for me, he's not that player that is going to, propel us to the next level in the Champions League. For me, that our defence is what needs looking at, basically, pure and simple.
And playing for another Premier League team, he's going to be expensive. So
how much do you reckon someone like him commands?
You're at least 40 million. You're thinking,
yeah,
at least.
After this World Cup as well, and still a bit more to go.
It's true.
Price could just go up.
So the verdict is we'll take him if he's there, but he's not our first priority.
Correct.
Not first priority.
All right, that's Alexis McAllister. Next up, we're going to talk about Daniel Malen of Borussia Dortmund. Rudy Galetti says that Tottenham are interested in Borussia Dortmund's Daniel Malen. I mean, he's a player that in the Dutch league obviously ripped it up and then moved to Dortmund. Hasn't really done it as of yet. What do you think of him as a player?
I was a big fan of him before he moved to Dortmund, and I really wanted Spurs to sign him. And then he got that big move, and he's shown flashes, but he hasn't really been hitting the ground running. Then again, he's still fairly young, isn't he? How old is Daniel Malen? He's
23.
Yeah, he's still fairly young, so maybe it's just an adjustment period. But it's been a couple of years now, at least.
This is his second year at Dortmund.
Okay, so
last year was his first year. He got 5 goals, 3 assists in 27 games.
Yeah, but a player coming from Holland with his potential, you thought he'd do better than that. This season, I don't think he scored a goal. And I guess maybe it's come because he came with high expectations. That's maybe harsh to judge him, but he hasn't quite done it for Dortmund. They've brought in Adi Amy as well, who seems like a better player at the moment than Daniel Malen. So maybe he's not even that promising youngster, which they've replaced already. So do I want him at Tottenham? I think in terms of profile, he's versatile, he's quick, he's a good finisher, left footer, can play across the front line. So from that sense, he fits the profile, but again, I think it should be one of those ones we go for if we're a bit desperate. I think there are better options.
He's like a Stevie B signing kind of thing.
It's a deadline day when you got no other options. All right, Daniel Malen's worth a risk kind of thing, but I don't think it's worth making him our priority.
Amir?
Whenever I've heard the words, he's been smashing it in Holland, I'm always worried.
Yeah.
I mean, Vincent Janssen comes to mind. The Dutch league seems to be one where it's very hit or miss. You can either find absolute talents like Eriksen and Anthony and these kind of guys there, or you can get guys like Vincent Janssen who just aren't to the level of the Premier League. So it's a no for me when it comes to Malen.
Yeah, I think I'd kind of have to agree. And I think his form since joining Borussia Dortmund is alarming because the Premier League will be a step up from the Bundesliga. So I'd like to see him show a bit more in a lot more in the Bundesliga before making an attempt to sign him. But moving on, the last bit of transfer rumours we've got for you today is Wilfried Singo and Tutto Sport are saying that Tottenham, Inter Milan, Juventus and Barcelona are clubs waiting to see whether Singo will renew his contract with Torino in the summer or not. He was a player that we were linked with last summer. Obviously, we went for Emerson Royale instead. Right now, it looks like a big mistake because Singo's still doing really well in Serie A. But with the other names kind of linked with us, when you're looking at Pedro Porro, Denzel Dumfries, I mean, would you prefer to go for a Singo or would you prefer to go for one of them?
Yeah, I mean, I was quite excited about the prospect of someone like Singo last time when I was doing some research into him. He did seem like a perfect fit. I don't know how his form is this season. I know I've seen he's only got one assist, but he is a right back. I do think Torino player back three. I think he plays wing back, but not getting that many attacking returns. But from what I saw last time, he's really quick. He's strong. 21, so he's very mouldable. So he's definitely one of high potential. But if you're looking at someone like Pedro Porro, who's really performing at a high level in like Europe and for Lisbon, I think I like the look of him a lot more. He gets me more excited. But Singo is definitely one they've clearly scouted, and I think he has the right profile. But I don't know if he's doing it on a consistent basis yet.
I think with this season, looking by the amount, I mean, I haven't seen him play much, but looking at the amount of game time he is getting, there is a lot of times where he gets taken off or brought on and stuff like that. He has only played 11 games in the league this season with 1 assist. But he's only 21, so, a very young age. And you do expect players of that age to have off seasons from time to time, but it's the quality he did show. And I think that the hierarchy at Tottenham, Paratici and Antonio Conte, know him and like him very much. So what do you think, Amir?
It's a tricky one for me because I haven't seen enough of the player to really, pass judgment. I kind of leave that up to Paratici and the lads in the scouting. If they think that he's someone, that really can come into the future, sure, we should be taking a look at him. But I have to tend to agree with Sim here on this one. Players like Porro and Dumfries are the ready-made article. They've already played in huge games. They've been in the Champions League. And for me, that's the kind of quality that I want to bring into this side. We've seen what bringing a Perisic in means in terms of assists, in terms of quality on the ball, in terms of crossing ability. So we need that off the other side. So for me, it's someone like Porro or Dumfries.
I'd agree with that. But let's move on. Let's talk about some sad injury news with Richarlison. Dan Kilpatrick saying there are fears that Richarlison could be sidelined up to a month after suffering a hamstring injury. And the forward returned to Hotspur Way on Monday, a week earlier than planned, to receive his scans. So really devastating news when, everyone was excited watching Richarlison at the World Cup, how he became a bit of a star at the World Cup. And we were excited to see him come back and really put that on in the Premier League for Spurs, seeing as he hasn't scored a Premier League goal for us as of yet. And that is going to be a month down the line now, apparently.
Yeah.
Sad news. What are you thinking, Amir?
I'm very sad for him. If he wasn't injured, I'm sure he would have been coming into this side, firing, coming in absolute hot. He's a fantastic player. He gives everything for the team, and I think that's maybe why he picks up these little niggling injuries. So all I can say is speedy recovery to Richie, and hopefully we'll see him again as soon as possible in January, and hopefully it doesn't affect the team too much.
Yeah, from a personal point of view with Richarlison, it's a massive disappointment considering he was playing so well for Brazil and he's coming in on a high into this Tottenham team. So you thought he'd maybe start full of confidence. So we're disappointed that he's been injured for a month and he'll have to break into the team. And from a Tottenham point of view, if we can stay lucky, hopefully it won't hurt us too much. With Kulusevski, Kane and Son all fit and available, we should be all right as long as they're fit and available. But if that's the thing, if we stay lucky, it shouldn't hurt us. But if we do pick up an injury,
Tottenham
then
lucky
it's a
don't
problem.
go in the same sentence.
So you've got to be a bit worried, with backups and also our ability to change games as well without him, which is definitely going to be hamstrung because who do we have? Moura and Gil after that. So that from that point of view, it's a bit worrying, but hopefully we know how Kulusevski, Son and Kane have clicked before and how much damage they can do. So I'm confident they can fill the void, but it's obviously a blow for Richarlison being out for a month.
Yeah, so that's the blow. Richarlison is out for up to a month with a hamstring injury. Last bit of news is about Harry Kane and Antonio Conte. Sami Mokbel says that Antonio Conte is planning to hold a one-to-one meeting with Harry Kane as soon as he returns to Tottenham training. Conte will talk to the striker when he's back to check in on his state of mind. And this is a question which is going around a lot of the Spurs fan base at the moment. What kind of Harry Kane is going to turn up after missing that crucial penalty, which will hurt him a lot. Let's start with you, Sim. What do you think? How do you think Kane will come back? Do you think there'll be a kind of bedding in period, or do you think he'll just come back with a bit of a point to prove and hit the ground running?
It's like my head or my heart, pretty much what I decide. If I go over my head, I'm like, well, he's had dips before when England lost in the final of the Euros and he came back and he was a bit sluggish and wasn't really on form. But my heart says no, he's going to come back with a point to prove. He's going to be on top of his game. He was having such a great first half of the season, banging goals. He had a great Euros, in my opinion, and maybe with the support around him of Conte, with that belief and that winning mentality that he brings, he'll have a word in his ear and get him backfiring and maybe want to prove everyone wrong. And we know Harry Kane, if he is getting abuse from rival fans, sometimes that can stir him on and that can bring the best out of him. But for the other side, we have seen him be affected when his country and his club, you've got to remember the Champions League final, see that season after, he didn't have a very good start to that season either. So sometimes it can take him a bit of time to get over that pain that he feels just missing out on a trophy. But on the flip side, hopefully this now difference under Conte, we haven't seen it under Conte yet, him come back in this way, and hopefully Conte can get in his ear and he can come back firing, and that's what I'm going to back.
Amir?
I think Kane's coming back better than ever, to be honest with you, Ben. I can see him just having that drive, that hunger to get back on the pitch, to be banging in goals. I can't wait for him to get a pen and just bury the next one. We all know it's going to happen. Everyone should get off his back. At the end of the day, he missed a penalty. Big players miss penalties. Messi's, Ronaldo's, everyone's missed penalty. Baggio, 94. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. And I can just really see him storing up all that anger in his stomach and just waiting for Boxing Day, waiting for Brentford. They better be worried because Harry Kane's coming in to score a couple of goals against them, that's for sure. All I can hope is that people get off his back, because it wasn't his fault that England didn't get through. There's a whole squad out there and a manager who also are culpable.
Yeah, look, I think he'll know that it's not just his fault why England didn't qualify, but to miss that penalty is going to hurt him massively. And I think that he is going to have a bit of a hangover. And I think coming back so soon after it, only a week after, the wound is going to be so fresh, and everything's going to be so fresh in the memory. And the rival fans are going to be lumping on him as well. So I do think there is going to be a bit of a backlash. But I think actually the rival fans shouting at him and singing to him might actually give him that lift, that bit of a lift off. So hopefully, I think it will take him a few games to get into it. But once he gets into it, I agree with you. I think he will come back better than ever. And sometimes what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, And that's definitely going to be the case with Harry Kane. But I think there's going to be a bit of a bedding in period for that. And I think the first few games might be a bit sluggish. But going into the season, I'm not worried about him whatsoever. He's going to be bigger and better than ever else. So that is my opinion on Harry Kane. That is our Tottenham update for today. We'll be on a watch long very soon for you guys for the semi-final of the World Cup. So come and join us there. Thank you everyone for joining us. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.